approve 2 student placements outside of the district as it relates to their individualized educational program. As I discussed, as I went over the retirees at the beginning of the meeting, asking you to approve Mrs. Vahovic's retirement resignation. Also asking you this evening to approve the acceptance of resignation from Mrs. Cortazzo as the National Honor Society. Also asking you to approve Mrs. Mandy Gillow to serve as a fitness center monitor. And then we have 2 memorandum of understandings, one for the elementary school and one for the high school. And it outlines the relationship that we will have with the state police. Since we are not located in a borough, it's the state police that comes and assists the district in any nature. So we have written agreement that we need to pass every 2 years that outlines the expectations that the state police would have for us in our 2 buildings as we would work with them. Also asking you this evening to approve a motion to purchase a copier from the Wilson Group. Also asking you to approve an agreement with Adelphi in Indiana so that if we need to place students in Indiana, it's agreements in place for all year. Still though, as we would happen to send students there, a motion would come in front of you to approve the student to be there. So I just want you to understand that you will still have the authority of each student that we place to pass the motion to send the student there. Also asking you to approve this evening the purchase of an intercom system that will be for the entire district. Also asking you to approve a motion for us to bestow upon or to actually to give to Steve Miller, who is the grandson of John Kropanak, and that is through the operation recognition that it allows this board to issue high school diplomas to those individuals who would have left high school to fight in the military, to serve our country. And as we discussed last week, you were wanting to approve that. So as you approve that this evening, we'll get that diploma ordered, signed, and sent off at the request of Steve Miller. Next, we'll ask that if you would approve hiring Kathleen Dumm as an instructional assistant to work starting out here at the elementary school. I also, as we discussed last week, I do just want to update you on enrollments as to where our students are as we've gone through our option 1, 2, and 3. I just want to point out that we have 11 students in our own cyber school. In our second option, which is our Google Classroom, currently we have 25 elementary students in Google Classroom. We have 46 high school students in Google Classroom. All of the rest of our student body is attending in person here in our buildings. So I do just, again, have to take time from the administration. We just even had this discussion today in our admin meeting that we have to applaud and thank all the parents of the district along with students as they have worked cooperatively with us to make sure that all the safety guidelines that we've put in place, everywhere from wearing face coverings to being socially distanced anytime and anything that we've asked individuals in this district to do, it's taken place. So it has certainly made life much easier for administration. And in turn, I think it reflects the fact that we're here. That we continue to be able to have students come in person and instruction. I do just want to point out and reiterate to parents, our method of operation is, should we ever have a positive case, we will certainly work with the Department of Health in establishing any contact tracing list that we would need to quarantine any individuals in our district. I will reiterate that we've only had 2 individuals since school started that has tested positive. So again, that's just a reflection of what everyone is doing in our district and following our safety guidelines. So again, thanks on behalf of the administration and board here at the school district. That's all I have, Mr. Packer.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson. Any other reports this evening? Any old business? Mrs. Eckenrode. Nothing under negotiations?
Nothing this evening, Mr.
Okay,
Packer.
thank you. Nothing under curriculum. Mr. Belchick,
Nothing. I know it's rare, but there's nothing tonight.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Larch, nothing on there? We're going to have a quick meeting tonight, I'll bet. Mrs. Tate, nothing?
Nothing under transportation,
All
Mr.
right.
Packer.
Okay, under policies, there are a number of policies, as Mr. Johnson had indicated. Can we have a motion to approve the revisions to the following policies as presented? And all the board policies appear on the district's website. Policy 111, Policy 203, Policy 209, Policy 314, Policy 318, 332, 334, 340, 705, 803, 904, and 907. Can we have a motion to approve the revisions?
I'll make the motion.
Thank you.
Second.
Motion by Mrs. Eckenrode, a second by Mrs. Tate.
Are there any questions? Roll call?
Mr. Larch? Yes. Mrs. Tate?
Yes.
Mr. Belchick? Yes. Dr. Boston?
Yes.
Mrs. Eckenrode?
Yes.
Mr. Hardesty?
Yes.
Mr. Packer?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay, thank you. Approve administrative regulations. Can we have a motion to approve the administrative regulations as presented? 203-AR-0 immunization requirements. 203-AR-1 communicable disease and attendance. Can we have a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Motion by Mr. Belchick, a second by Mr. Larch.
Questions? Roll call?
Mr. Larch? Yes. Mr. Packer?
Yes.
Mrs. Tate?
Yes.
Mr. Belchick?
Yes.
Dr. Boston?
Yes.
Mrs. Eckenrode?
Yes.
Mr. Hardesty?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay, and we have a first reading of policy number 309.1 for telework. Is there any correspondence this evening? Okay, under new business, approved substitute list for the 2020-21 school year. Can we have a motion to approve the following day-to-day substitutes pending receipt of all current clearances for the 2020-21 school year? Tiffany Davis, Secretary and Instructional Assistant. Kayla Snyder, Cafeteria Monitor and Instructional Assistant.
I'll make the motion. Second.
Motion by Mrs. Tate, a second by Mrs. Eckenrode.
Are there any questions or discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Larch? Yes. Mr. Packer?
Yes.
Mrs. Tate?
Yes.
Mr. Belchick?
Yes.
Dr. Boston?
Yes.
Mrs. Eckenrode?
Yes.
Mr. Hardesty?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay, thank you. 19B, approved change in salary to bachelor's plus 20. Can we have a motion to advance Mr. Andrew Lansbury from the level of bachelor's step 4 to bachelor's plus 20 step 4 of the 2020-21 salary schedule of the current collective bargaining agreement between the Penns Manor Area School District and the Penns Manor Education Association dated August 1, 2019 through July 31, 2022. The annual salary of this step is $61,016 and shall be prorated to the days remaining in the contract year with the commencement date of October 9, 2020.
I'll make the motion.
Thank you, Mr. Belcher.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Belchick, a second by Mrs. Eckenrode.
Are there any questions? Roll call?
Mr. Larch? Yes. Mr. Packer?
Yes.
Mrs. Tate?
Yes.
Mr. Belchick?
Yes.
Dr. Boston?
Yes.
Mrs. Eckenrode?
Yes.
Mr. Hardesty?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay, 19C, approve outstanding placement. Can we have a motion to approve the enrollment of student number 5514 into Presley Ridge? That makes sense. Okay, approve the outside placement of student number 5514 into Presley Ridge. Can we have a motion?
I'll make the motion. Second.
Motion by Mrs. Eckenrode, second by Mrs. Tate.
Are there any questions? Roll call?
Mr. Larch? Mr. Packer?
Yes.
Mrs. Tate?
Yes.
Mr. Belchick?
Yes.
Dr. Boston?
Yes.
Mrs. Eckenrode?
Yes.
Mr. Hardesty?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay, 19D, approve the outside placement. Can we have a motion to approve the enrollment of student number 7467 into Presley Ridge?
Second.
Motion by Mr. Larch, second by Mr. Belchick.
Questions? Roll call?
Mr. Larch? Mr. Packer?
Yes.
Mrs. Tate?
Yes.
Mr. Belchick?
Yes.
Dr. Boston?
Yes.
Mrs. Eckenrode?
Yes.
Mr. Hardesty?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay, 19E, approve employee retirement. Can we have a motion to accept with regret the retirement resignation of Janet Vahovig as an instructional assistant effective September 25, 2020, and to give the administration permission to post and advertise for this position?
I'll make the motion. Second.
Motion by Mrs. Tate, second by Mrs. Eckenrode.
Are there any questions? Roll call?
Mr. Larch? Mr. Packer?
Yes.
Mrs. Tate?
Yes.
Mr. Belchick?
Yes.
Dr. Boston?
Yes.
Mrs. Eckenrode?
Yes.
Mr. Hardesty?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay, 19F, accept the resignation of National Honor Society Advisor. Can we have a motion to accept the resignation of Jamie Cortazzo as the National Honor Society Advisor effective immediately, and to grant the administration permission to post and advertise if necessary for this position?
I'll make the motion.
Motion by Mr. Belchick, second by Mr. Larch.
Are there any questions? Roll call?
Mr. Larch? Mr. Packer?
Yes.
Mrs. Tate?
Yes.
Mr. Belchick?
Yes.
Dr. Boston?
Yes.
Mrs. Eckenrode?
Yes.
Mr. Hardesty?
Yes.
Motion carries. Okay, 19G, approve fitness center monitor. Can we have a motion to hire Mandy Gillo to serve as fitness center monitor on an as-needed basis at the rate of $7.25 per hour, pending all clearances?
I'll make the motion. Second.
Motion by Mrs. Eckenrode, second by Mrs. Tate.
Are there any questions? Roll call?
Mr. Larch? Mr. Packer?
Yes.
Mr. Belchick?
Yes.
Dr. Boston?
Yes.
Mrs. Eckenrode?
Yes.
Mr. Hardesty?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay, 19H.
Oh, sorry, Mrs. Tate.
Yes.
Sorry.
Motion carries now.
Okay, thank you. Okay, 19H, approved memorandum of understanding with the Penns Manor Area Elementary School and the Pennsylvania State Police. Can we have a motion to approve a cooperative agreement between the Penns Manor Area Elementary School and the Pennsylvania State Police as presented?
I'll make the motion.
Motion by Mr. Belchick, second by Mr. Larch.
Questions? Roll call?
Mr. Larch? Mr. Packer?
Yes.
Mrs. Tate?
Yes.
Mr. Belchick?
Yes.
Dr. Boston?
Yes.
Mrs. Eckenrode?
Yes.
Mr. Hardesty?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay, 19I, approve a memorandum of understanding with the Penns Manor Area Junior Senior High School and the Pennsylvania State Police. Can we have a motion to approve a cooperative agreement between the Penns Manor Area Junior Senior High School and the Pennsylvania State Police as presented?
I'll make the motion. Second.
Motion by Mrs. Tate, second by Mrs. Eckenrode.
Are there any questions? Roll call?
Mr. Larch? Yes. Mr. Packer?
Yes.
Mrs. Tate?
Yes.
Mr. Belchick?
Yes.
Dr. Boston?
Yes.
Mrs. Eckenrode?
Yes.
Mr. Hardesty?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay, 19J, approve agreement with the Wilson Group. Can we have a motion to approve an agreement with the Wilson Group to purchase a Sharp MX-M5071 monochrome workgroup system at a cost of $8,565 to be paid for out of the capital reserve, which amount will be paid back to the capital reserve from the general fund over 3 years, and the purchase for license of paper cut print management software from the Wilson Group at a cost of $2,006 from the general fund that includes 4 years of support and covers the 4 large copiers in the district as presented.
No, that's actually coming right out of the general fund. No, because we're paying back to capital reserve. Yeah, no. Correct. Sure.
We have a motion.
I'll make
So
the motion.
moved.
I have a motion by Mrs. Eckenrode. Mr. Hardesty, would you like to be the second? Got it.
Yes.
And a second by Mr. Hardesty.
Questions? Roll call?
Mr. Larch? Yes. Mr. Packer?
Yes.
Mrs. Tate?
Yes.
Mr. Belchick?
Yes.
Dr. Boston?
Yes.
Mrs. Eckenrode?
Yes.
Mr. Hardesty?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay, 19K, approve education service agreement with Adelphi. Can we have a motion to approve the agreement with Adelphi Education Services as a service provider for an alternative education program placement during the 2020-21 school year? Should the administration deem it necessary to enroll a student in Adelphi behavioral support, day treatment, or yes credit recovery program as presented?
I'll make the motion.
Can
I'll
we have a
second.
second?
I have a motion by Mrs. Tate and a second by Mrs. Eckenrode.
Are there any questions? Roll call, please.
Mr. Larch? Yes. Mr. Packer?
Yes.
Mrs. Tate?
Yes.
Mr. Belchick?
Yes.
Dr. Boston?
Yes.
Mrs. Eckenrode?
Yes.
Mr. Hardesty?
Yes.
Motion carries, Mr. Packer.
Okay, thank you. 19L, approve intercom system replacement. Can we have a motion to approve the contract with Open Systems Pittsburgh to install a Roland TCU intercom paging system as presented? The pricing of this project is per PEPPM.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Questions?
Motion by Mrs. Eckenrode, a second by Mr. Belchick.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Larch? Yes. Mr. Packer?
Yes.
Mrs. Tate?
Yes.
Mr. Belchick?
Yes.
Dr. Boston?
Yes.
Mrs. Eckenrode?
Yes.
Mr. Hardesty?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay, 19M, approve operation recognition, high school diploma. Can we have a motion to award a Penns Manor area school diploma to Robert John Kropanek as requested by his grandson, Steve Miller? As per policy 217, graduation and operation recognition, the Board of School Directors wishes to recognize Robert John Kropanek, who left high school prior to graduation in February 1943 to join the Navy in order to serve the United States during World War II.
Second.
I have a motion by Mr. Larch, a second by Mrs. Tate.
Are there any questions? Roll call.
Mr. Larch? Yes. Mr. Packer?
Yes.
Mrs. Tate?
Yes.
Mr. Belchick?
Yes.
Dr. Boston?
Yes.
Mrs. Eckenrode?
Yes.
Mr. Hardesty?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay, 19N, hire instructional assistant. Can we have a motion to hire Kathleen Dunn as a 7.58 hour a day instructional assistant, effective October 12, 2020, at the starting instructional assistant rate of $10.55 per hour, as per the current contract between the district and the Penns Manor Area Education Support Association, dated July 1, 2020 through June 30, 2024.
I'll make the motion.
Second?
I have a motion by Mr. Belchick and a second by Mrs. Eckenrode.
Okay, are there any questions? Roll call?
Mr. Larch? Yes. Mr. Packer?
Yes.
Mrs. Tate?
Yes.
Mr. Belchick?
Yes.
Dr. Boston?
Yes.
Mrs. Eckenrode?
Yes.
Mr. Hardesty?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay, 19O, student recognition. We have two this evening. The first PMEA Student of the Month for September is Dimitri Lieb, and PMEA Student of the Month for October is Anna Peterman. Okay, our congratulations to both of those students. And then 20, can we have a motion to approve the following field trips that's included in your package?
I'll make the motion.
Motion by Mrs. Eckenrode, second by Mr. Larch.
Questions? Roll call?
Mr. Larch? Yes. Mr. Packer?
Yes.
Mrs. Tate?
Yes.
Mr. Belchick?
Yes.
Dr. Boston?
Yes.
Mrs. Eckenrode?
Yes.
Mr. Hardesty?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay, the upcoming meetings or next committee meetings, November the 5th at 7 o'clock. And our next business meeting is November the 12th, also at 7 o'clock, and probably at the same place. For you folks that are participating by Zoom, are you able to hear okay?
Christie is.
You can hear John?
Yes, sir, I can.
Yes. Okay, same with everybody else?
I can hear everything fine.
Okay, good. Okay, is there any other business that needs brought before the board this evening? Okay, hearing on this meeting is adjourned. Thank you all.
Really? Whoa.
It's a pretty quick one. Yeah, we've already done it.